Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming to my session today. We're going to be talking about ITR dashboards. The agenda for today, I'm going to do a brief introduction of myself, so you know who I am. I'm going to explain the challenge that the Sheriff's Office faced, why they needed to take this adventure, the vision, and how we came up with the solution, and what type of technologies that we chose and why. I'm going to do a demo. I can't show the live demo of the application because it is live and actually interfacing with actual inmates, but I have lots of screenshots I can share with you and I can explain each one of those. And then go over like what's next and where are we going with this, and then I can answer any questions. So, first of all, introduce myself. My name is Eric Wozakowski. I'm the interim commander over the Enterprise Applications and Data Services Division with the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office. It's a long way of saying development, or I guess would be the best way to put it, run the development of the database teams. I've been with MCSO for 2 years. I've been programming and developing software for 44 years. And I've got lots of credentials with Microsoft, so I'm not just up here because I put together a full slideshow. I'm actually part of the team that built this solution. I was the architect on this project. Not sure where everybody's from, so allow me to put up a map of the state of Arizona and show you where Maricopa County is and tell you a little bit about Maricopa County. So if you're all from Maricopa County, please bear with me. If you're not, or you've never heard this before, here's some fun facts. It is the largest county by population density in Arizona. And what was this earlier when I was like, well, what's this giant thing up here? Yeah, Coconino County's big, but it's not well populated. Maricopa County is the largest populated county in Arizona. It is also the fourth largest populous county in the United States. It spans an area of 9,224 square miles, which actually is larger than 4 United States in the Union. MCSO employs roughly 3,500 employees. That's a mix of sworn, detention, and civilian. We have 6 jail facilities. One of those is an intake, transfer, and release facility, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. We house over 6,500 inmates, and we intake and release between 200 and 300 individuals per day. It's very, very busy. For many years, we ran our intake facility out of 4th Avenue Jail, right downtown. In 2020, one of the executive lieutenants had a dream of building a separate facility that, what I'm about to show you, acts a lot like a DMV. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how do you organize a DMV type of scenario? So the vision for this facility, I'm going to show you a video here in just a moment. It's a 4-minute video, but it's going to walk through when we opened this intake, transfer, and release facility back in 2020, where one of the sergeants is going to walk you through how this facility operates, give you some glimpses of what it looks like, and then I can dive into a little deeper from there. So allow me to switch over here really quick, and I will play that for you.
Barbosa, and I am assigned to the intake, transfer, and release facility. We're the first step to anybody getting arrested off the streets and coming through here, or even when somebody self-surrenders, when they were sentenced out of court, they have to come through here to serve their time. We are in charge of the intake process, and we're also in charge of the transfer for anybody staying from court, for them going to whatever facility they're going to go to, and then we're also in charge of the release process, anybody getting released from custody. So this is our search room. When they come in here, we'll either have them step over to the left, step over here to the right, or we'll have them go down to 1 layer of clothing, remove their shoes and their socks. We'll run their items through a x-ray machine while we have them step into one of these body scanners. And then once they're done with the body scanner, they will come over to this padded wall where we will pad search them. We'll search them for any contraband. Once they're done being searched, then we'll go through a x-ray machine or through a metal detector, and then they step on over here to my right, and they will put their stuff on, and then we'll give them some food and some of their drink, and then we'll go over to the next process. So as they come in, they're given one of our famous Latino sacks, and we will give them a Gatorade. Last year, our captain switched out to giving out Gatorades because it is hot outside. So to help out with the aggregation issues, we are giving out gate rates during the summertime. Once they're done with that process, they go into an area called pre-booking. Pre-booking, they're gonna take their vitals, we'll take their mugshot, they will see medical. Once they're done with that whole process and they're accepted, the other agency will bring us their paperwork, we'll verify it, and then we'll accept them into our custody. Once the pre-booking area is done, we go into an area that's called the ID room, which is where they're gonna go and be fingerprinted. We'll give them what time the court's gonna be, and what time what their charges are. Once they're done there, we're gonna move them over into the court waiting area, which is where they're gonna be waiting to go see their initial appearance judge. So this is our court gallery. This is what we do our initial appearance court. This is what our courtroom looks like. So whenever they're assigned a time, we'll bring them into this court gallery so they can wait for their time and come up one at a time up into this podium, and then they speak to the judge. And the judge explains to them what they're being charged with and what the release conditions are going to be. The judge will either give them a bond, release them to their own recognizance, release them on pretrial services, supervision, or release them to an ankle monitor, or even at times will hold them on a no bond or a non-bailable due to them being released on previous felonies and then being arrested on new felonies. Once that process is done, and if they're staying, they go into an area called processing. In processing, they will talk to classification, get classified, they will talk to medical, if medical deems it then necessary to be seen, and they will also get dressed out into our inmate clothing that we have here. Once all that process is done, they're fully classified, the medical is ready to be housed, we will house them. We'll send them over to one of our facilities. If they're getting close to the 24-hour mark of them being in custody, we do house them in this area here, which would be our 512 facility, which they will get housed here for how many other hours until we can get them classified. After they're done with court, if they are being released, they go over to a room called release, where they just wait for us to process their paperwork. Once we process their paperwork, they sign out their paperwork, and then we release them out there. So what I like most about working here, honestly, is just that it keeps me busy. Makes my night go pretty quick. I work third shift, the best shift. Learning new things here, learning the legal side as far as when it comes to courts, and just this whole intake process was very interesting to me. So if there's anybody out there that would like to come and do what we do, and you're on the fence, it is a great career. So I don't know what's holding you back. Just come on over if you've been thinking about it.
So a lot of moving parts is the key that I wanted to take away from that. There's a lot of moving parts in that process. How do you keep track of all of those different people from all these different arresting agencies in the valley, 200 to 300 a day, with all these different statuses of the different phases of where they're going through? We're going to go over that, and I'm going to show you how we came up with that answer. So, the idea of this open floor plan, this open room, is built around the concept of open supervision, supports a dynamic and flexible workflow. Now we can have people moving around by themselves while they're supervised by their arresting officer. We don't have to keep them like in a room-to-room type of scenario. Once they're through the screening process that Sergeant was talking about, this facility allows flexibility in guiding the arrestee through the pre-booking intake steps. Each area is clearly marked. There's monitors all around the room that show them go here, go here. It's very, very easy to see. A lot of things are imagery instead of words for those who have difficulty with reading or education levels are lower. They can see where they need to go. It's very easy for them to move around. I'm there quite a bit. There's also activities that they have to occur within specific time frames and schedules, such as there's a certain time before they have to have an initial appearance in front of a judge or magistrate. There's a certain time frame before we're required to get them a bed before we're breaking the law. And it allows for more effective use of resources and reduces bottlenecks. Now, detention deputies know exactly where they need to be, where we need to concentrate them, and so on. How do you make sense of all this? when you have disparate systems and data sources. So, for example, we've got one facility that's doing all of this work, but we've got our inmate management system, or our jail management system, which we affectionately call SHIELD. You've got the pre-booking system that the agencies, the officers are using out in the field to initially enter information as they make an arrest. And that all funnels into our jail system. You've got DPS that's processing fingerprints. You've got the Superior Court and other courts who are pulling initial appearance information, other court information, warrants. You've got correctional health services on the end that needs to do their initial health check for everybody coming in. How do we keep track of all of this? So I put this up here just as kind of like a timeline. Before they arrive, the police put them in their RMS, or their records management system, and that ends up feeding into pre-booking. Pre-booking ends up coming into this jail management system, the one on the left. Healthcare and other follow-up pre-booking activities have to happen, something we call a page 2, I'll explain in a minute. And then there's also, after we accept them, now we have to update our jail management system. They have to have a mug shot, they have to have their court appearance, they have to have an ID check, they have to get fingerprints, they have to see if they need support, if they need representation, do they have specific medical needs, do they have to be fed, are they diabetic, do they have meds, did they bring their meds with them? There's a lot of moving parts to this. An opportune encounter happened back in 23 timeframe when our team and a vendor partner who helped build this took a visit to ITR just as a tour and heard all of the business complaints. Why can't we have this? Why is this so difficult? Why does it have to be this way? And that's what sparked this vision. That's what sparked this. Why can't we build something that aggregates it all? In this case, Power BI was the answer. We can take and build engines around the data aggregation, collect it into a single spot, and then present that solution in a Power BI set of Power BI dashboards, giving the business the impression that it's a one single application, one interface that they're working out of, and it's really multiple disparate data sources. That was the goal behind this. We didn't want to, since we already had, the organization already had Power BI licenses for consumption, for usage, and it was limited pro licenses for build. This is a perfect opportunity to put a couple people in those spots, give them pro licenses, let them build the solution, and then use the capacity license for the business or volume license for the business and just use the report. We've already got them, already paying for it. Why not take advantage of the technology? It's right there. This was the original cloud design. I want to bring this up here because this is a cloud innovation summit. I want to be fair. This is the original cloud design that we were going to come up with. This involves taking all these disparate data sources here on the left, running them through a data factory and a processing engine inside of our cloud environment, inside of our tenant, where this boundary is here. Putting in the staging environment, data warehouse, an aggregation layer, and then finally a presentation layer. Traditional data warehousing. You have your intake, you have your processing, your staging, where you build your facts and dimensions, you put your presentation layer after it, and you're done. Nice and simple. The sheriff's office at the time was not in a position to go full cloud, and they wanted more of a hybrid model. What we ended up doing was this. Very similar layout, as you can see, just visually, very similar layout, but this uses 100% equipment in our data center using the same technologies. So instead of leveraging Data Factory, we use SSIS. Instead of using Azure SQL, we're using SQL on-premise. It's already there. The other key piece of this is MCSO is currently in the process of moving our jail management system up to Power Platform in Azure and Dynamics. Once it's up there, this cloud version will make a whole lot more sense because now I've got cloud talking to cloud. I don't have to use the express route, I don't have to use data gateways. It's all cloud to cloud, right? This gave them what they needed at the time, keeping costs down, which in turn means it keeps money in taxpayers' pockets because we're not charging more money, and it uses existing infrastructure. So there's an opportunity for us to move to that first model once we get the jail management system up in the cloud. This is the model that we're currently using today. So we've got all of our disparate data sources from external agencies and other partners coming in here. We use SSIS as our engine instead of data factory, pretty much the same thing, there's no SSIS in the cloud. And then in here, as part of our data storage component, that's where we're doing our facts and dimensions for staging our file. Same data warehouse concept, but all on-premise. As a result of pushing this out, we have one front-end dashboard with, I believe, 3 sub-reports. And once we came up with a solution, it shattered their challenges. This was the original concept of what they asked for. They wanted a main dashboard with tiles that gave them an idea of how many are coming in, how many are waiting for initial court appearance, how many are in processing, how many are overdue, things like that. The smaller screens that are kind of impossible to see even when I'm standing this close to the screen were the little breakout drill downs. If I click on a tile, it should show me this. And then if I click on one of these tiles, it should show me more detail. So what the business was telling us is we want to be able to drill down, RBI, into our data and see more information about a specific category. This is the final product, and I took this screenshot right from the Power BI report. The following set of screenshots comes right from this application. Again, I can't share the actual application with you because this is a live dashboard pointing to live domain information. We want to be fair, we want to be private. So, at the time that I took this screenshot, there were 95 people currently arrested in the Phoenix metro area waiting to arrive at our detention facility. This is not unusual. It's a very busy ITR, needed an application that could handle this. At the time, pre-booking had 1, we had 27 that were due for a mattress, 19 in isolation for whatever reason. They could be part of a gang, they could be man warnings, they could be prior assault on staff, they could be, not well mentally adjusted and need to be isolated. It could be a lot of reasons. And then 81 are currently waiting to be released. The idea behind this was, this gives the business side, the detention deputies that are sitting there trying to organize this chaos, a quick glance into, hey, do we have anybody who's still waiting for mugshots? Well, let's tap on the processing tile and see where that leads us, and let them drill into that screen, and they can see exactly, which I'll show you in a minute, exactly which ones need what, where they are. Or we have 19 in isolation. Who's in isolation? A lieutenant can go in there and tap on that and say, okay, I've got 3 that are really high risk, the rest all just, have severe mental illness and probably should get medical involved, for examples. If I tap on the anticipated incoming screen, it gives them the total in the corner, lists out the inmate name, basic information, and when they're about to arrive. The estimated arrival is kind of iffy because it depends on all kinds of factors. Is the officer being delayed at their station because of paperwork? Is there traffic? There could be all kinds of reasons why they need delayed. So the estimated arrival is usually blank unless the officer actually gives us an estimated arrival. We basically go off of the arrest date and time and how many are coming in. The biggest benefit to this was manpower. So now I don't have to rush and put 3 more deputies at the search sally port if I know I've only got 13 incoming in the next hour. 1 person can handle it. If I've got a riot in Tempe because something happened and they're sending buses out there to mass arrest people, we need to call people in off reserve and get them down to the sally port really fast. This gives them that insight simply by aggregating the data and putting it into a Power BI dashboard. The pre-booking side, this is an example of what this looks like. So you see here, part of pre-booking includes the medical screening. We take whatever funds they have on them at the time and deposit them into a trust that they can access later on while they're in custody. They get it released as the card needed release. Was their personal property put in the locker? Was their mugshot taken yet? Do we have any DNA on file with DPS for them? If so, have you taken a fingerprints? The 2FID is a device where they can scan the first 2 fingerprints to kind of get an idea if you've seen them before. This is a real important one that they use often, court waiting. Have they had their health assessment? They can't go to see their IA until they've had their health assessment. That's one of the first things they do. Have they seen Immigration and Customs Enforcement yet? We have ICE officers on staff. I've had them there for decades. And they just sit there and they go and they meet with everybody as they come in. What kind of clothing do they have on them? Not everybody comes into our facility with clothing. We need to provide clothing for them. Were they properly dressed when they came in? Are we giving them all their clothing when they left? We don't want to keep it. Processing is, again, they can look at this and say, I need this individual to go down to classification, and they'll call them out loud. You go over that desk over there, classification, or you still need your health assessment, this first one. I need you to go over to this desk over here and speak with the nurse from CHS. This gives them that quick glance into where are we at with this wave of people, 100, 200 people sitting in our room at any given time. What do they need and where are they at in this process? IA Core 2, another example of what the screen would look like. Mattress 2, another important one that I mentioned, where we're required to bed them down after a certain length of time. Page 2, this is what I said I would explain it earlier on. If someone is arrested on initial charges, 1, 2, and 3, we bring them into custody, and later on, the officer realizes or pulls a record, realizes this person has an outstanding warrant for drunk driving in another county. That has to be added to this arrest record, but it's not why they're here. It's something that they need to see a judge for. That's called a page 2. Basically, page 2, these are the other charges that are on. That's where it got the name page 2 from. That's something that we capture in here as well. The isolation checklist lets them see quickly why they're in isolation, so that if somebody is told to go over to cell 7 and it says combative, they know to be prepared. They know to call for backup and get backup. Or if somebody's just unable to function, not being cooperative, they could be intoxicated, they could be inebriated, they could be low level of consciousness from abuse of drugs, it could be anything, it could be diabetic coma because they didn't eat properly, they didn't take their medicine, it could be any number of reasons, but that at least gives them that heads up right here on one screen. They don't have to go try to figure it out. Drilling into these screens gives them a lot more detail about an individual, where they can see a mugshot, again redacted. They can see what their next court appointment is on the far right, the mattress countdown in the corner. They're overdue for IA court. We need to hurry up and get this person to the next appointment. This gives them that insight, that confidence into knowing where people are at in the process, who needs what, where they need to go. They can guide them properly. This solved their problem. This gave them the answer to the chaos. This organized their mess. And it was done using very simple RBI report dashboard, drill through tiles, and data aggregation into one shot, one spot. With the achievements on this, the first comment we got from one of the lieutenants, she said, this product is better than I ever imagined it could be, and has a lot to do with this team. I can't tell you how excited I was to send an email out to our team here at ITR for them to start using it. I go to ITR for my job off and on, depending on the circumstances. When we were still working on this, I remember sitting in the control desk with one of the staff, and she heard it was coming, and just the look on her face was so excited to say, I can't wait to see this, because I just want to have this up on this screen and have my jail management system here. It's going to make things so much easier, I can imagine. Because this person has to sit in front of surveillance desks, surveillance monitors, and just let people in and out of doors all day. Mind-numbing. How much easier is it going to be to see firsthand exactly the heartbeat of that ITR, what's going in, what's coming out, and who's having what? All that answer right there. All the data was there all along, you just needed a place to put it. And Power BI was the answer. Other business units and agencies have already requested access to these ITR dashboards. Correctional Health Services, the medical staff, were one of the first to get onboarded to this. They wanted to see, especially in advance, the anticipated income. because that's gonna tell them if they need to move more nurses out to triage, if they need to call up people on their day off and get them out there to help. Additionally, recently we got the Maricopa County Attorney's Office involved. So now their staff is able to see this in Superior Court. They're able to get in, they're able to see the dashboard because they want to see things like IA court and Superior Court appointments. And are people, did you see that they were supposed to go? Yeah, we told them they're supposed to, they didn't show up for their appointment. Now it's a you and the inmate problem, isn't it? So this transparency is really helping boost communication, and it's helping build that, like I said, again, that confidence in the staff that they've got control over this chaotic environment. The main contributors to this success was working iteratively through design and build with the business. This was a back and forth for almost 9 months with the business on the design, post the architectural design that I showed you initially. So once we got the architecture down, the dashboards themselves, each one was painstakingly worked through with the business based on their original design. We didn't deviate too far, but we did have to shift up a little bit. We also focused on a minimal set of requirements because not only this can grow from here, we're not going to walk away from you. This is going to become something more. You just need to work with us. But let's start off small. And then finally, not constraining the requirements again. Let's build from here. Let's make this grow. Let's make more of this. There's still more challenges to be conquered at this point, though. A key point of this project is not just the challenge and the opportunity. It's also a lesson of the benefits of interacting with the business. And I've been a huge proponent of this personally since I started with the office. After 44 years of sitting behind a computer and typing out code, I feel like you're not better until you're sitting there with the business and saying, what hurts? Why does it hurt? What can I do to make it better? And the opportunities with the sheriff's office were so great, and I still do it today. I'll go out to these sites, I'm going to Food Factory next month, where they manufacture hundreds of thousands of rolls and process millions of gallons of water, and they make their own ice, and they hand out ice in the summertime to the community to keep them cool. I mean, it's amazing to see how this operation works. What can we do for that? What kind of things can we build using simple technology, trusted technologies like Power BI? It's been around forever. How easy it is to build something simple for them that will help make their jobs easier, give them more insight into the very thing that they're using that they didn't realize they had information on their data. This project may not have started when it did, or at least not when it did, had it not been for that one. That's been my goal. So that's my personal soapbox moment. That's where I try to emphasize the importance of going out to the business and interfacing with the business, and not just accepting requirements and being a factory turning out. Potential updates. IA court events. I am pleased to announce, since I made this slide, we are now ingesting IA court events. And we are also automatically, this is kind of a sidebar, we are also automatically updating the court events in our jail management system directly from Superior Court. So now, as oftentimes happen, we have them listed as, this is a remote court visit. So we're going to sit there with a tablet in front of the jail cell and let you talk to the judge. As opposed to an in-person visit, we put them on a bus and we send them to court and they say, this was supposed to be a remote visit. Or the vice versa. Where's so-and-so? They're supposed to be in court today. No, we have it done as a remote visit. We have a whole team of very patient people who go through and edit this information manually, and we say, no, this is 2026. We'll fix that. Now it's automated. And it's being reflected in this dashboard as well. Inmate-facing dashboards, this is a little bit of a challenge because of privacy information and the fact that not everybody can read. So, this is a work in progress. It's not a high priority because the inmates currently have the guidance from the staff and they have plenty of guidance and signage around the facility. But the goal is to eventually have something like you would get when you go to the lab, or you go to a doctor's office, or you go to a Starbucks or another facility where they have a screen and they have part of your name and part of your order, enough to jar your memory and say, well, that must be me. That's what this is for. It could be as simple as part of your name and then an image of where you need to go. So it's a work in progress, it's a concept. And also we're working on dashboard functionality outside of detention. what else can we do with this? Our compliance and court implementation division is using it to track things like traffic stops. Our jail management system moving up to the cloud, I have 2 developers on my team right now who are currently converting SSRS reports to Power BI paginated reports and Power BI dashboards based on the needs of the business. Not everything is a flat, static SSRS report. Sometimes you need a little more intelligence. And we're teaching the business how to get used to that. We're also replacing an internal application with a Power BI, set of Power BI reports for human resources, and actually teaching human resources how to be okay with using Power BI and not relying on things like MS Access and Excel and building their own shadow IT. So, any questions? I covered a lot in a short amount of time, and I talked a lot. So, any questions? Any feedback? Yes.
So for the screenshots, I just want to be clear. First one you showed was the actual page 1 of the actual CAD report, and then all the subsequent screenshots are just all drilled down versions from that main page.
Yes. So I'll go back here and I'll starting here. Let me get this one up. So starting here, all of these from this point down are all actual screenshots from the actual application.
Drill downs from the specific.
So if I tap on the anticipated incoming screen, I'm going to get this one. And then if I tap on the pre-booking tile, I'm going to get this screen. So on and so forth. And then once I get through all of the tiles on the main screen, when I drill into an individual booking, I get that detail. So there's the 3 levels from that original request of their design. They wanted a main tile, high-level view. Then they wanted subsequent drill downs for each of the tiles. Then they wanted, well, what if I tap on a booking number here? If I want to see this one, because it says combative, I can tap on that, and it'll drill down to here. And this is where it'll tell us what's going on. There's also a component in here that didn't make it into this slide, which I think is really important for us, especially, and that's what we call man warrants and keepaways. Is this person part of a gang? Should we have them sit near this other person? Are they going to get in a fight in the ITR in the holding area? Is there prior assault on staff? Do they spit on people? Do they bite people? Do they slash at people with their nails? Do we need to worry? So this will say up there, prior assault on staff. Well, now I'm going to send the SWAT team in there to take them out of their center, or whatever they need. Yeah, hopefully that answers.
It did. Thank you. And I have one more question. So you said that you are currently sharing this with non-MCSO staff?
This is currently, yeah.
Or
So
is it only internal staff right now?
currently, MCSO deputies, detention deputies have access to this, as well as the Correctional Health Services Office, and they are not part of MCSO. They work with MCSO. They're the ones who send the nurses in to see the inmates as they're first brought in, or if we have someone in custody who says they don't feel well, or I have this ailment and I need to see a nurse regularly for shots or something, they get sent to medical. They go off to the facility where they're seen, and then they're brought back.
So you're leveraging part of your enterprise license to people who are not in your enterprise already?
They already have their own license.
Oh,
So the licenses, if you bring your own license model.
I gotcha.
Yep. So if they have a license existing, we're doing something similar with our Power Apps too, where we were licensing external individuals, and then I realized that there is such a thing as a bring your own license model, and now I'm less generous with that. Bring your own license. You're already using this at your own agency. Let's share. Let's be fair. But yes, they and the Superior Court. So the County Attorney's Office, the Judicial Branch, they have access. Some of their staff have access. About 6 or 7 have access to this so far. Good questions. What else? Any other questions? Yes, sir.
So, Barry, as you're going back to your review now,
Yeah.
you're looking at multiple inmates. Well, let's just start here. So, looking at the pre-booking process, is that a linear process, or can say to FID happen or motion?
Exactly. So it can happen. It's very dynamic and it's very asynchronous.
Okay.
It can happen at any time. Somebody could come in. Typically, when they come in, they go search first, they send that video, they always go to search first, they have their property taken, their money is deposited, their property is put in the locker, and then they're brought into the main area where they sit. At that point, medical usually comes first, to make sure that they're
Doesn't have
okay.
to, but it usually does.
Some doesn't have to. We typically don't do mugshot and fingerprints until after they're accepted. We don't accept them until medical at least has given us the okay.
Yeah, I just look at this and I see so many different touch points. It becomes an orchestration that might benefit from some type of machine learning or artificial intelligence that allows the caretaker to manage by exception. Here's load balancing suggestions, like this group can go in for 2FID, and these guys can go in for health check or room or capacity. It's kind of almost load balancing concept.
We don't have it today, but there is a solution like that you're talking about that's already being used by some detention facilities. I don't think in Arizona, I want to say it's back east, where using an infrared thermometer on a camera and an AI chat agent, they have the individual sit down and talk to the bot while this thing is reading their skin temperature, their pupillary dilation, getting their heart rate, their breathing rate, and getting basic vitals off of them, basically triaging them while they're talking to them to see if they have any psychological issues, do they want to hurt themselves, and getting their vitals, and then basically passing or failing them. Yeah, it's already in place. And the sheriff's office is starting to implement AI in some areas, automated report writing based on body cam usage. They're using it to analyze phone calls with on the tablets to see if discussions are banned, inappropriate, and then correcting the action before the messages are sent, before the communication goes out. So there's already some intensive machine learning and some AI happening in some areas. But yeah, this is an area where I think there's a lot of potential. Once we get the jail management system out in the cloud and it's running well, which it will be, because it's the same process that Cook County went through last year, and they're running fine. So once it gets there, yeah, there's a great potential for it.
So it begs the analysis of constraints. There's only so much throughput in these steps. How do you coordinate these sequence of care already?
Well, and have the system look at how many are waiting for fingerprints, how many are waiting for ID, how many are waiting for IA court, and then intelligently saying it would be wise if you sent this person first because it already knows in the process this is going to be longer and these two are going to be faster and it's going to keep everything moving.
That court date's approaching faster.
Yep, court date's coming up, this person's still waiting for a mattress, you're not gonna get it, so you get the court date, yeah. Now you don't have to have that base thing.
One other final question, sorry. Are there any data points that you haven't been able to process for whatever reason? Third-party system doesn't play nice with the data.
Not yet. Yeah, not yet. This is everything. Now, we have introduced new data points that we may consider integrating into this. We've added iris scanners to our release and our ident section of ITR, which literally looks like a pair of goggles. They hold it up to their eyes. It measures their iris. Everyone's iris is unique, just like your fingerprint. And it's the only other positive ID recognized by the FBI other than fingerprints. So it can scan, and based on a nationwide database, determine with certainty you are who you are, here's your prior record in this state, in this county, and those. So there's an opportunity to also incorporate iris scanning into this and say, we've got positive ID through iris or positive ID through DPS or fingerprints or whatnot. That's good. That's good.
I was wondering, so beyond the real time, view, the current state of inmate living, how is this actually also being used to kind of track metrics of jail time, on average, how many people are waiting on this, or, these sort of large reports like that?
They're not using it to its full extent that we're talking about. They rely on the reports that were built into the jail management system, and a lot lot of that just comes from the slow growth and adoption of technology in the office. They're getting a lot better. I must say, in the 2 years I've been there, there's been a lot of improvement. It's challenging, but they're catching up. And I think since this has been in place for about a year, I think it's about time to start looking at usage metrics as well as analysis of the facility and seeing what's working, what's not working, what's taking the longest, what are we seeing the most of. I think that's a good application for it, but no, I have not been looking at that.
Yeah, cause that was my biggest thought, like, beyond just knowing what's going on at the time, you know, this seems so powerful for improving the jail over time too, especially if you start incorporating some other elements in there, and having it analyze, you know, go back 6 months, 12 months of data, you know, and you can find out what are the biggest days for arrests, which they probably already know, but
Yeah.
other statistics like that, that would be really interesting to see how all the data, you know, start making
New Year's
analysis.
Day.
Yeah, New Year's Day, wow, wait, not New Year's Eve?
No, no, New Year's Eve they're happy, New Year's Day they're angry.
Wow.
Any other questions? Any other feedback? Thanks, you guys. Appreciate it.